If only I had spidey senses, so I can tell when something's wrong. Oh, and I'm set to protect this heart from breaking into pieces. Where's my hammer? Where's the shield? Oh, the strength to carry the weight of the world. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall.
Now, here's your host, DJ Host with the Most.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of Snap Decisions, and so much for me being on time. That lasted what? All of 1 week? Best laid plans. Well, hopefully everything is straightened out now. I think I told you guys before in the pod I was getting a new job. Well, that starts tomorrow. And then schedule will be pretty good because I'm going to have weekends off, which will be nice. I don't think I've had weekends off since I can remember. Working in retail, you never get weekends off unless you're on vacation. So I'll have weekends off throughout the training period, which might be around 3 weeks or so. And I'll be off nights generally too, so not bad. It's like 9 to 5, 10 to 5. So that'll allow me to get the pod out on a regular basis again. But in any case, I wanted to get this out today, and then obviously we'll get another one out on Tuesday, and then we'll be good to go. So on the agenda for today is, let's see, let me take a look here because I've got to. So we're going to review the worst fives in Snap. We're already almost up to the end here. And then, of course, I will put out the sixes that I think are bad. And then, of course, we'll get to the worst sixes. And then we'll go to best, starting with, obviously, the sixes will be Tuesday. So then starting the following week's podcast, we'll start the best cards in every cost. Then, of course, we'll go over Selene came out this week. Is she good? Is she not? Is she worth it? We'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about some other news. Of course, the big news in Marvel Snap, and if you're not really on the socials, you may not have seen this, but one of the heads of Marvel Snap, Glenn Jones, has stepped away from the game. He has gone on to a different thing. And staying like with CCGs, but onto a different company. So that was a little bit shocking to see. So I'll talk a little bit about that and what I think the ramifications are, if any, that we're going to see. So we'll discuss that. Then we'll go, of course, to Anna Snap. We'll talk about my week in review in the game. A lot of the limited time game mode that I've been messing around with. Then we'll go to Comics Corner. We'll talk Selene and Ozymandias. So Ozymandias and Selene in Comics Corner today. And, of course, my book picks and all that stuff for the week. We'll do the MCU Minute where we'll talk about Daredevil started this past week. And I thought it was really good. We'll talk about Spiderman Brand New Day, which is all over the headlines because something finally got confirmed. A big secret that got confirmed. So it is a secret no more. And then talk a little bit about Project Hail Mary because I finally went to see it with my wife. My wife was bawling her eyes out. So it's that kind of a film. But yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that. And then I'm also going to be, I also have a little bit of somber news because there's been a death in the comics industry that really kind of hit me hard personally, and that is Sam Keith. One of my all-time favorite books in the MAXX, also the animated series. I just love that book. Just really hit on all cylinders with me. It's a lot about, if you've never heard about it or if you've never watched the series, a lot of it is really, I think, to be honest, it's very ahead of its time, because the book came out, I want to say, was it 90s, early 2000s? It went for a good while. It ran into like 50 some issues, if I'm not mistaken. I have them all. And then, of course, he came back recently and did a MAXX and Batman, which was very, very different, but very cool. But the MAXX was very intellectual, but also very kind of focused on mental health stuff and things like that. So very deep storyline, but I always loved it, and just sad to hear of his passing. And of course, gone much too young. But we'll talk about that a little bit as well, and what it meant to me personally in Comics Corner. And then, of course, we'll talk about Pixel Perspective, and the big news out of that for me was, of course, this from PAX East. The big news out of that was the introduction of gameplay of Halloween. So absolutely thrilled and excited about that. I will be playing it. Hopefully, that will be the start of my game streaming. I'm already looking into it. By the way, if any of you guys out there know where I can get a hold of a PlayStation camera, because they are it is so weird, because I remember working in Best Buy, of course, when the PS5 came out, and then, quite a while afterwards, and they were everywhere. You could buy them everywhere. Now they're scarce. You can't find them at all. The only one I found at all for sale was on Mercari, and they wanted like $200 for them. So I obviously have to get one, and unless, again, if you guys know that you may know more about this than I do, but what I'm trying to do is stream directly from the PlayStation, which I know you can do. There's a little pop-up button right on the screen that comes up stream. And I watched a couple of YouTube videos on it, and it looks super easy, which is right. It's that the easiest for me. So it says that you can also have, like, if you go to Twitch, you'll also have you could have your phone in your hand, and you can see people's comments and stuff on the phone while you're streaming. So sounds like something I want to do. I obviously, with the computer, I just can't do it there, because I don't have the capacity of the computer I have is not a gaming computer. And so that would take me buying a whole new computer, a whole new setup, and all that, which I just don't have the money. So yeah, if any of you know where I can find one of those, please let me know in the comments or wherever. Reach out to me via X or whatever the case might be, because I just cannot find them. And like I said, I think I saw one on eBay too, was for a couple $100, which is crazy, because when they came out, they were $50. But they can't be found now, like I said, because I guess they discontinued it and they stopped making them. So it's quite difficult to find. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to be, if I can make it happen, I'm going to be game streaming, which will be pretty cool. Obviously I can't game stream Snap, because you can't really do that via a video game system, because it's not on any systems. Which would be kind of cool, I guess, if they put it on there, but I don't see that happening. So that is the agenda, for today. And I hope all you guys are doing well. We are almost in the month of April. And, we have, of course, Easter's coming up soon as well, which kind of cool for me. I'll finally, with the weekends off, be able to spend Easter with my family, which does not happen very often, if at all. Again, when you work retail, you don't get weekends off, and Easter was never a holiday where we would get the day off unless you requested it, and I would always end up working it. So yeah, it doesn't feel like it. It's still freaking cold. And man, I'm sick of it. My arthritis in my left knee is killing. I mean, those of you who are older probably know what I mean. I used to laugh. Not laugh, but when my parents would complain, oh, my knee hurts, or oh, my shoulder hurts, or not. And then they would say, it's a damn weather. It's a damn weather. And I'm like, get out of here. The weather doesn't affect. Well, you know what? They were right. And that's, when I studied weather a little bit in college, because I took a meteorology class, I understand now, like barometric pressure and all that kind of stuff. And that does affect your body. It does affect arthritis and all that kind of stuff. It's the pressure that obviously you don't see it, or be able to tell it's there, but the pressure does affect your joints. And it would only, it's common sense, really. It's pushing down on your body. So, it would affect you. And man, did my knee flare up. A couple days ago when I was working, I was getting a chair down from the rafters in the store, and they're up above, like kind of near the roof and stuff. We have to use this ladder and stuff to get them down, and they're gaming chairs. They're not light. And I remember getting it down, and I tweaked my knee a little bit, and after that, it's been horrible. So those of you who are older probably understand, and maybe some of you who are not so old. Everybody gets ailments and things like that. But yeah, it's been, and the weather just doesn't help it. This kind of stuff, it's like a tease, right? Because you'll get one day where it's super warm. It's like it's like 60, 70 degrees. And it feels so nice outside. And then the next day you get a big rainstorm, a thunderstorm comes through, and then all of a sudden it goes back down into the 20s. And it doesn't know what it wants to do. And that's oftentimes March and April is often like that. But I'm over it. And it just seems like this winter has just gone on forever and ever and ever with no signs of letting up. So I am just really, really tired of it. I want to get outside. I want to do some stuff. We need to buy a new gas grill. I want to get that going. And it's nice when you can make your first meal on the grill and stuff. And, I want to get out, walk the dog and all that kind of thing. And you're just stuck in a house because it's too cold. And even if it's not cold like today, I think it's in the 40s, which isn't horrible. But the wind, you have this bad wind and it makes it feel 10 degrees colder than it is. And, it's just been horrible winter, and obviously with the price and economy ramifications with, having to pay for oil in the house and it's just a lot. It's just a lot. So obviously I hope you guys are finding ways to take yourself away a little bit from reality and give yourself a mental break from all this kind of stuff. And, it's a lot, right? It's things going on overseas, and it's things going on with the government and things, it's just a lot. It's a lot of stress. And I mean, I have my own ways of dealing with it. When I come home, from work, I just kind of decompress, and I've really gotten into YouTube a lot over the past couple of years, and it's mostly what I watch. I don't watch much on TV. Like, of course, I watch Daredevil and those things that come out when The Boys releases, I'll watch that. So the series and stuff that I watch. The thing is, if they're weekly episodes, that's one thing, but if they drop the whole series, you can just watch it in the span of a night or two. But I entertain myself with YouTube a lot, and I found really fun creators and Snap creators, of course. I already mentioned the ones that I like a lot, that I watch, that are fun for me to watch. But there are other people that I watch now that are pretty consistently, that I just watch them a lot. Some of the Marvel news stuff and the comic book news stuff with Emergency Awesome and a couple others that I watch for that kind of thing. Of course, and now Jacksepticeye, which, I just found his channel. He's been around for a long time, but he's entertaining. He's quite entertaining, and I enjoy his content. I'm watching him play Spiderman right now, which is cool because that got me back into the game. I actually went back on my PlayStation and downloaded both of the Spider-Man games from Sony, and realized that I never finished the first one. I loved it a lot. I would play that game just to kind of swing around New York. I really wouldn't. I wasn't really even following the missions or anything like that. I just liked the atmosphere. I liked the look of it and all that kind of stuff. And I really just kind of forgot how much I enjoyed it. And then just kind of watching him play and going through everything. And of course, you get some tips from game players and stuff too, like what you were maybe doing wrong, or how to get past a certain point that you couldn't get past. So I've been watching him. He also does a lot of horror games and stuff too, which is kind of right up my alley. Yeah, I'm really excited. I watched a panel, and I'll get more into this when I go over when I do the pixel perspective, but I watched a panel for that Halloween game, and man, it looks like they're killing it. They had John Carpenter on the panel with them. That says something. When the creator of Halloween, who I love John Carpenter. I love his films. I love his music. I'm a big fan, and obviously Halloween, but Escape from New York, Christine, The Fog. He's the Big Trouble in Little China. All of his stuff. I am a huge fan, and when you can get him to sit in on a panel, and kind of endorse the video game, saying that it looks amazing and he's excited for it. I mean, that's pretty big. And I watched the gameplay, and Slash and Cast is another channel I enjoy watching. Those two guys are cool. They do a lot of horror stuff as well. And I watched one of the people from that channel went to PAX and actually got to play it. He sent video clips and stuff like that on his YouTube channel of him playing the game, and I can't wait, man. It's a 1v4, asymmetrical, but the cool thing about it is it's got a lot more than just, so, you're not just playing against four protagonists. You, as Michael, can basically go around and you can kill a whole bunch of NPCs. So there's NPCs in the game, and the four, they call them heroes, characters. They're just random, not random, but they're civilians, kind of like the Friday 13th game. If you ever played that, it has similarities to that. But the differences that they addressed were actually really cool, because one of the things I hated about Friday the 13th was that the campers can just hang out in a big group, right? And then they could just gang up on Jason, and they could just keep hitting him, knocking him down, and do and all that kind of stuff, which I felt was stupid, because if that ever happened in a Friday 13th movie, he'd slaughter every one of them. So I always found that to be dumb, and it was just a bad thing in the game that shouldn't have been. And they actually addressed that with the developers of this game, saying, "Hey, what are you guys doing about getting ganged up on in this game?" And they have a way out of it where, sure, you can knock Michael down, you could do that kind of thing, but then after a while, if that happens, more than once, he has ways where he'll just get up and he can get out of the area and then just come back, and he's even stronger when he comes back, which is very similar to the character. So that's kind of cool. So they're addressing situations like that, and I like, it's cool. I like to hear that. And it's Ilphonic is the game designer. They've done a lot of they've done Killer Clowns from Outer Space. They have a Ghostbusters game. They have a Predator game as well, and so they also partnered with Gun Media to do the Friday the 13th game, but that was mostly Gun, and Gun, I'll be honest, I don't know what they're up to or what they're going to do as a game studio, but I've kind of lost a little bit of faith in that company. The Friday the 13th thing wasn't their fault. That was a lawsuit that just hit all the properties, and it wasn't their fault. I know a lot of people blame them but there was a lot of things in that game, a lot of bugs and a lot of glitches and a lot of stuff like that was there from day one up until the day that it went away. And so, and then they came out with Texas Chainsaw, which I never played. It wasn't my type of game, but a lot of people were very upset over that, and how they kind of came out one day and just said, well, we're not supporting this game anymore. So people lost a lot of faith in them, and so I don't know what they're up to. But they are kind of assisting with Halloween. I don't know exactly in what capacity, but I don't think it's anything big. But anyway, so I get into YouTube. I watch all that kind of stuff, and that keeps me occupied. It's kind of my relaxation thing. I'm getting back into the video game part of it, which I haven't for a while. And so that's kind of cool, because that that's a kind of a time waster too. And so on and so forth. So, all right. But anyway, I hope wherever it is that you are, I hope that you're finally feeling some relief from the winter, and it's getting back into spring. And I mean, obviously some of you that listen to me, I know there's people that listen overseas. You probably don't ever see winter. So, you're lucky in that respect. I would love to move to a climate, where there was no winter. I really would. I would not miss it at all. But unfortunately, that's just not in the cards right now. So, all right. Well, anyway, let's get to the opening part of the show here, and we will now. Let me just get quickly to what we're going to be doing in the upcoming stuff. So obviously, this coming week is our last card for this month. So we'll talk about that, and of course that's our Ramatut, that's our Kang variant that's coming out, which sounds bonkers. They always seem to put out a bonkers card last in the month. And I don't know whether it's just because to see like what it's, but this one is going to be completely random. This is that one where the text says that, he's going to have an ability from anything that is before his time. Right. So, and it's just random. So you don't know what you're going to get. So, and sometimes cards like that are fun. They don't make for very good climbing cards, because you're always, like I said, you can get stuck with, more than likely about half the time or maybe more, you're going to get stuck with something you just don't want. And when you find out what it is, you can't play it because you just don't want it to, like a destroyer or something like that, where you're just not going to be able to play him. So, but it's a fun card, and they tend to put out, like the last week of the month, they tend to do a lot of these things with like these cards that are just fun cards, which I don't know. I don't mind that. I think sometimes people need that a little bit. They're so focused on ladder and all that and stuff. And it's nice to just see a fun card come out and just seeing fun gameplay and stuff. And I think that's one of the things that's really kind of lacking in Snap. I do. I think that, and I've said this many times before, I think they just need fun games. The limited time game modes are fun sometimes because there's just no pressure and everything like that. And some people don't want that. Some people want the pressure. They enjoy the pressure, right? They like that kind of thing. Me, I don't want tense and stuff like that in my games very much. I get enough of that in daily life, right? We're all suffering through things now with enough stress that sometimes you just don't want stress in your gaming. A little bit of gameplay stress, but you don't want to be, I certainly don't want to be playing games where, in fact, like Spiderman, starting that up, I put that on the easier mode. I'm not going to play in like hard. I don't want to be dying all the time. I don't want to have to keep restarting and doing that. When I was younger, I was more into that. It was more of a challenge, but I guess now that I'm old, I just kind of want to progress the story. And I just want to go through that. So, all right. But anyway, let's get into it, shall we? So, first on our list is we are going to go over the worst fives in Marvel Snap. So let's go. Let me find the post here, because now it's absolutely buried. We got a Man-Thing variant, by the way. Oh my! How long has it taken to get a Man-Thing variant? Good Lord! And I've seen them in that Art of Marvel Snap book. I've seen like different variations of him, but we just never got them. They just have never been released. They finally released a Man-Thing variant, which of course I grabbed right away. But there's just it's so weird like how that happens. There's some cards that you just don't see any variants for very often, which kind of sucks. Like you want it to happen, and you want to see it because you're a fan or whatever the case might be, or you just like the card, and it just you just don't see any variants, and Man-Thing has definitely one of them. All right, so these are the ones that I listed. All right, and I thought, and I even said, boy, this is a tough one because there's a lot of good 5. There are. There's a lot of 5s that are very good that I couldn't even choose. So there weren't that many here, and these are the ones that I came up with. How the mighty have fallen here in Arrow. Of course, Arrow, one of the best cards. Like when I started playing this game, Arrow was incredible and annoying because she would move all of the cards. If I'm not mistaken, she moved all the cards. And man, you're trying to play a Galactus or something like that in a lane, and then you get arrowed, and just this card was an annoyance, and it was overpowered. And of course they changed it, but I think ever since they changed it, it just killed the card. You never see it. You don't see it. Hydro Man. This card never really thrilled me. It's a Series 4 card. I know some people were playing it, but the fact that it gives each player, the top card goes to 1 cost. Many times, at least what I've seen in it, is you get pretty much a crap card and your opponent gets something awesome. Like your opponent pulls like a 1 cost Red Hulk. So to me, if this worked for just you, then yes, it would be way overpowered. But the fact that you're both getting something, and again, randomized cards like this are just tough. Because you just never know what your opponent's going to get, and it could end up very easily costing you the game. So I never really played with this, never really liked it. So I have Hydro Man in here. I know some people do, but I have Namora. I never got into that deck at all. I know when this card came out, some people really tried to play this, and they would put Namora in a deck with or in a lane with Wong, and then Odin. And then they would have like a Jeff, and they would have a Colossus even, right? And so that it couldn't get blown up by Shang-Chi. But I don't know. There's just too many ways. Like, and back then you had Shang-Chi that can blow one of them up. You have Shadow King. To me, there's just too many ways to counter this, and too much to try to rely on for this card. So I don't know. I was never thrilled with Namora. Then I have good old Prof X, man. Again, how the mighty have fallen. This card. Now, I will say, every now and then a creator will come up with a list, and most of the time I've seen it's Binks. But sometimes it's Regis and stuff that'll play with this card. And it does take people by surprise now. Like, if you include it in a deck, you can, especially with what everybody's playing now, like loading up with the rocks and all this kind of stuff, and then they wait till that last turn to play Ozymandias, or the 5th turn to play him, or all that kind of stuff. But if you lock out a lane, or maybe that might not be the greatest, because they're filling lanes anyway, they don't really care. But like Mr. Negative, I played against a Mr. Negative deck, and I had Professor X in my deck, and it just wrecked it. It just ruined it, because they have to have that, they need that particular pattern. They need to have all the stuff out. They want to put it in one lane, and so he can still surprise people. But the fact is that you could just move things into him so easily now, by moving cards around and things like that. You come across a move deck, you're just dead, right? You're just dead. He does absolutely nothing. So Prof X is still a card, and I'm kind of thinking that when Avengers Doomsday comes out, we may get another version of Prof X. We may get another version of this card. They like to do different versions. So we may get another version of this card somewhere down the line. And where it'll be a little bit different. So then I have Spiderman 2099. This card, to me, and people love to make, I get it. They love the character. I understand it, from the animated movies. I get it. I love him too. I used to read when this first came out, when 2099 first came out, and the comic book first came out, I adored this. And I loved the Miguel O'Hara character. I love how he was so much different than Peter Parker, and like more brutal and stuff. I loved this comic. and I love the character. But to me, he's another card where it just has to be changed. I think either changed all around or keep it, but you got to make it just easier to play. And I get it. Destroying an enemy card is powerful, but again, not necessarily like in this meta. Because again, especially with people playing rocks and all that kind of stuff, what are you going to destroy? You're going to destroy a rock? So I think we're at a point in time where this guy could be a 4/9, maybe even a 3/9. I don't know. That might be a little. Maybe make him like a 3/7, which is more in line with normal threes. Because he doesn't move on his own. Which that I found kind of weird too, right? The spiders all are kind of movement cards, but this guy needs help. And I don't understand why that would be. He's certainly a spider character. He could certainly move around on his own like the rest of them can. So, I don't know. Maybe make him a 3 and give him different text where you can maybe it could be an activate card where you can activate him to move him once and then he destroys an enemy card. I don't know. But to me, it's just a lousy card the way it is. And I know people had him in the Red Wing deck. I hated Red Wing. I never, ever played that card. To me, again, it's just too random. It's too weird. So I don't know. But I mean, give Spider-Man 2099 his due. Change it up or make it better. But this card is not good. The other one I have here is, and this is what they would call a starter card, obviously. They like to refer to these cards as cards that people play when they're first starting the game and everything like that. But I'll tell you what, this card could be good. And it's Spider-Woman. What she does in afflict all enemy cards here with -1 power. That's not bad, right? So, she's a 5/8, but if you hit a full lane, she's a 5/12, which is pretty good. So, but I still think there's something missing with her, and I'm not so sure what it is. But she, I think, is pretty darn close to being a good card. So they were the ones I chose. But let's see what you guys picked. All right. So Chris says, I say Namora. Haven't used her in a while, and I've never seen anyone use her since last year. John Elliott, King John, says, I agree with all your choices. I will add the Fallen one. He died the moment Star-Lord appeared. He needs too much setup for something Star-Lord. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. You hardly ever saw this card played anyway, except for a meme. People would play him and then come out with these big combos and stuff like that with all that energy they would get. But you're right. Why bother with this? Now, Star-Lord just got nerfed. But why bother with this card when Star-Lord just does it better? So Fallen One, yeah, they're going to have to do something with this if they want to keep it the same way. Or, I don't know, maybe it just go into obscurity. But that's a good choice. Junior JR says, Arrow. And he has a crying emoji. I said it was such a great card. It's fallen in a big way. Sunshine on My Shoulders. The John Denver fan. I will not stand for Hydro Man slander. That's my guy when it comes to Ronin. Yeah, I don't know. Ronin decks aren't great right now. They're just not. They're not great into this meta. The rock meta and Gambit meta and all that kind of stuff, Ronin is not cutting it right now. It was good when it was going up against Star-Lord and all the meta that was then. But the current meta that's around now, Ronin ain't going to cut it. So, as I said, it's tough in the Gambit meta. Says that's true. I hate Gambit, both of them. Well, you're right there with me. I can't stand either one of them. But the Gambit, the new Gambit got hit, and then the obviously they got taken out of the limited time game mode too. He got taken out. So did Fin Fang Foom. So that's kind of cool. All right, let's see. Reviews from the Tub says, I love Namora with Wong and Lasher. Spider-Man 99 was the pin of my first move deck. I think Spider-Woman is way underrated. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's something there. Like that card to me is better than it is, and many times, like even when bots play it, because they're really the only things you see play it. It takes me by surprise when they play it, and I almost end up losing the lane because of it. So yeah, I think there's something there as well. Arrow is also a staple in Control Agony decks. So many good cards that hold together incomplete decks. Hydro-Man is my vote. Yeah, Hydro-Man I think was the lowest ranked card that I had in that month. So Hydro-Man is probably is I think Hydro-Man's a good call. All right, let me go. I just lost my place. So bear with me here. There we are. Okay. All right, let me go over to Blue Sky and see, because I think I had a good amount of responses on Blue Sky for this. Glad to see there are fellow Man-Thing fans. Matthew says, insta-buy for me. I had no Man-Thing variants, and it's so good and only 700 gold. Yeah, I agree. Billy says it's so beautiful. It is. This variant is A+++, says Jason. Okay. Fangride Amascut. If Spider-Woman was an ongoing with the same effect, she'd be super playable. Okay. So, okay. That could be a possible thing to change her to. Sideshow Bot says, I vote for Black Bolt and Stature. No impact since ages. Professor X at least can bridge skills. Yeah, Black Bolt and Stature are weird. They have a tendency to make comebacks because there's still that deck archetype that's out there with Black Bolt and Stature. In fact, I saw some creator was playing one. It might have been Regis. He was playing a Stature Black Bolt deck where you're making your opponent discard, because that's one of those things where you're making your opponent discard cards, right? With Moon Knight and things like that. And you're kind of hoping, I think he was playing a combo mill deck with Black Bolt and Stature. So, but yeah, I could see where that's another combination that's really kind of fallen off. Fangride says, I am historically a huge Namora hater, and I think she's terrible. With that in mind, surely it's Gamora. Oh, I don't know. Gamora gets a good amount of power, though, if her ability goes off. Plus, yeah, she's not great. And, I mean, most of the time with her, you see her played in limited time game modes. Spider-Woman or Spider-Man 2099. Hydro-Man is a genuine home right now. Prof X has some playable decks. Even Arrow is fine, but should go back to 510. Could argue Agamotto as well. Yeah, Agamotto doesn't see as much play anymore. That ends up seeing mostly play in that Arshem goofy 33 card Monty or whatever it was called list, where you're just playing all those cards that just give you more, give you the spells and all that kind of stuff. So, Voltron Pilot says, sadly, it's Professor X. It's a card that states the only cards that can be played here are spells, which will negatively affect him, and move cards which easily overpower him. He's a guaranteed lane loser. And then Blue Sky Snapper says, I know it's going to be Spider-Man 2099 despite my love of the card. My vote goes to the Black Bolt Stature pair. Well, this one's kind of all over the place. I think just from your comments, I think I'll take off, even though I don't see it personally, and I don't see it played much at all. I'll take Arrow off the list. More for nostalgia purposes, I think. Personally, I will take Professor X off my list because he does still have some uses, right? He does. And Spider-Woman, I think like I said, I think there's something there. I just don't know what it is. So I'm going to take her off. So that's going to leave us down to Hydro Man, Spider-Man 2099, and Namora. Namora does still have a deck type. And I do still see it on occasion. There's not many people that play it. It takes me by surprise when I see it, but I do still see it on occasion. So Namora is, I think, a card that needs to be worked on a little bit. I think they have to tweak it, maybe make it a 4. I don't know, but I think it needs to be. But we'll take her off the list because a lot of you are saying that she's. So we're down here to Hydro Man and Spider-Man 2099. And I'm going to go with Hydro Man here. Just because I like the Spider-Man 2099 character, but they're both bad. And I'm going to go with Hydro Man. I really hope that Spider-Man 2099 gets some love, and I hope they figure him out, and I hope they do. Maybe when the next animated movie comes out, the Miles movie, the last one, maybe they'll take it upon themselves to either maybe they'll make because I'm sure they'll have a series that comes out for that, or a month that will have that in it. Maybe they'll remake him and come out with a new version of him or something along those lines, and they'll change him around. I think just with the card the way it is, they're just stuck with it. I don't really think there's much they could do other than a complete rework, and they might just not want to do it, figuring the same thing I just said is like, well, we can always just do this when they have another, when the animated movie comes out, we could always just make another one. So, all right, well, there you go. So next up is the sixes, and I will have, we've been going through F cards, so 4 and 5. Now we have the sixes. So should I call them the Sinister Sixes? That's taken. I could call them I can get vulgar and call them the shitty sixes. Nah, I don't want to do that. It's a good S word. The slimy sixes. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you guys come up with a name for it? Along with your guesses, why don't you come up with a name for it? An S word to describe, now, keep it clean. An S word to describe what the worst 6-cost card is going to be called. But yeah, I'm going to put out my choices, and again, go in and let your voice be heard. And you too will have your name read out on the podcast. And then, of course, after that, then starting next week, we will get to the best of. So we'll start all over again, and we'll go, what are the best cards in Snap? And then we'll have our lists compiled. So very cool. All right. So that is that. And we will move on here. So let me get back to my agenda. Selene. Let's talk some Selene. So I played with the card a little bit. I know Safety Blade had it in a deck, which I tried out. The question is do I think it's good? I don't really think it's good. I don't really think it's good. Is it a necessary card? That and really, these are the kind of things that you have to ask yourself, right? You have to ask yourself, is it worth, especially if you're on a budget, right? Is a card really worth it? I mean, Alex Kocha does a good job of that in his reviews every single week. And so, but these are the kind of things that you have to determine as to whether or not you're going to maybe skip a week and save your tokens and stuff like that. I mean, look, my tokens are getting a little low myself. I'm getting to the point where I usually hover around like 30,000 or so, but tokens get light, and it gets it gets a little tough. So you have to decide whether you want all these cards. So she's a 4/4, which isn't a great stat line. And her card reads objective. Have 3 cards with no abilities in play. Steal 5 power from an enemy card here. So she can end up being a 4/9. And also, she's stealing power, so it's going to affect your opponent's lane. Now, everybody kind of just thought, well, we're going to be playing rocks anyway, right? So this card can fit right into a rock deck because no abilities, right? Which you would kind of think would be the case. But in those rock decks, there are other cards that you would probably be better served using than this. And, and then you kind of think, well, could she fit into another deck type? Could she fit into I don't know. Just a lot of cards with no abilities list, or just I think I saw somebody trying her in high Evo negative, which I don't really know how that worked out. But I don't know. I guess maybe like Misty Knight or whatever the case might be, like cards like that, Shocker, that really have nothing, until high Evo, of course, changes them and gives them stuff. But I don't think that counts against Selene, actually. But to be honest, I would say of all the cards this month, I would say this is pretty skippable. I don't see it being necessary in any deck. I just was watching Dexter, his streams that he recorded last week. And, he tried it in, of course, a rock deck. And then he tried it in, I think he had it in a Sauron list, because obviously when you play Sauron, you're taking your card's abilities away. So that's kind of smart. You just figure, oh, okay, well, they won't have any abilities if I use Sauron. But that's always determined on whether you get Sauron in time to affect enough cards and things like that. So, but I'll be honest, the people who I've seen playing this card index, I think the decks are just good to begin with. And I don't know that this necessarily adds a whole lot to it. So, and I honestly think with the cards this month that we've gotten, I'm kind of at the point with several of these cards, where these objective cards, where you just don't, like, are they necessary? Are they necessary? Is it a fun component of the game? I guess it presents like an element of surprise and stuff like that. And there is some good, and Sabanur proved to be pretty decent. And I said Juggernaut, I think at the beginning of the month when I ranked them, I said Juggernaut's just a boring 2/8. And so I don't know that really any of these cards after this month ends and we move on to the next month's season. I don't know that we're gonna see these as staples in decks going forward. So it was definitely not one of the overpowered months like we've had, which, to be honest, I think the game needed. But Selene is. It's kind of subpar, and I would tell you that this is definitely a skippable card. So if you haven't made a choice on it yet, which I'm sure you probably have by now, but I would say that this is definitely a skippable card. So, all right, so that is that, and we'll move on here. And let's just talk a little bit about the rock decks. When I look back at it, we tend to see things and we're like, oh, this is going to be so much fun and it's going to be cool and all that kind of stuff. We overrate things a little, and I do it too. And I kind of thought that the rock decks would be everywhere. Now, there are a lot of people playing it, but it's kind of similar to a Patriot list, right? And it's a little on the gimmicky side. Ozymandias ended up being pretty good. and which is what I thought it would be. But again, the fact of the matter is, you have one card that people are playing more and more now in Killmonger that can just wipe it out. And yes, you can play Kyera, and you almost have to. But again, Kyera is not a good card, and for its power and stuff like that. And it's good for what it does, but it's just one of those things where it was like when you used to play like the Big Dumb Idiots decks, and you knew that Shang-Chi was out there, right? So you knew Shang-Chi could just come in, and last turn Shang-Chi is just going to win a lane because it's going to blow up all your big cards in that lane. And you would have to play Kyera. But she's just a card that, unless they improve her stats, it's going to be a card where people are going to think twice about really wanting to play it. And so the rock decks weren't what I thought they would be. First of all, I thought it would be a lot of fun. Gambit kind of spoiled that for everybody. And I mentioned that. I said maybe Gambit should have come out later to let people have fun with the rocks and stuff and things like that. Now, sure, I've seen some video clips of creators getting their rocks up to outrageously crazy numbers. But again, that's not the norm. And so, I liked it. I named mine Rocky, and I used my little rock, my piece of coal that I had as an avatar. So it was kind of fun. And then, of course, seeing Project Hail Mary, Rocky was prominent in my mind. So I had some fun with it, but it wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be, because you've got the party pooper club out there that are just like, all right. And look, I get it. It's a game, and people are always going to just have to find ways to counter the current meta. So you're either for it or you're going to play against it. And you always have that, it's one side or the other in card games. You're always going to be playing with the crowd, or you're going to be playing against the crowd. And the ones who are playing against the crowd are the ones that are going to be the party poopers that are going to blow up all your rocks on you and stuff like that. So, that's how it is. That's how card games are going to be. So it wasn't as much fun as what I thought it was going to be. Just the fact that you're sitting there and you're like, I'm going to make these rocks huge, and it's just fun to see. But maybe my expectations were a little bit too high, which could be. So, alrighty. Well, that is the top of the pod here. That gets us out of the beginning of the show. So we're going to move on, and we're going to go to In a Snap, and we're going to talk about my week in the game. As soon as I open up my iPad here. Oh man! Well, I hope you guys all enjoyed your week in Snap, and I will. While I'm waiting here for this to open up, I just wanted to, and I've done this already via my Twitter and things like that, but I just wanted to say I just wanted to shout out Glenn Jones. Obviously, if you haven't seen or heard the news, I've shared it. Glenn has been gone or stepped away from Marvel Snap, and he has gone on to it's sports cards actually is what he's gone over to, and I'm guessing they're gonna have him as their game designer. So I guess they're gonna do some sports cards games. So that's cool. All the best to him, and where he's going and stuff like that, and just getting into something new. And look, I am changing jobs myself, so I can certainly relate. And at my age, 56 years old, when you're a little bit older, changing jobs is always not an easy proposition. I mean, yes, you're going to certainly look to better yourself. You're going to look for something that's going to maybe pay you more, or something that's going to have better opportunities. But it's always a chance, right? You're always taking a swing, and you don't know when it's going to be a home run. You don't know when it's going to be a swing and a miss. But anyway, Glenn was, I admired him. Obviously, he was a stalwart in Magic the Gathering, which I played for many, many, many years. But I always admired him because he was accessible. He would be the one that would take a lot of the questions and stuff in the Discord for Marvel Snap. He would appear on creators' videos a lot. He was with KM Best a bunch. He was on with Snap Judgments with Glazer. He was on, I think, with other creators as well over the years. So that's kind of cool, when a game designer does that. They certainly don't have to, and you don't really see that with very many people. And like I said, this is part of the reason why I'm looking so forward to that Halloween game, is because Ilphonic came out, made themselves accessible. You got to know some of the game designers for them, and came out and did this big thing and talked a lot about the game and how excited they were and things like that. I like to see that. Maybe it's just my age, but I kind of like to see that. That gives me confidence in the product. And, and Glenn, I'm sure, was a lot of the reason why people were playing this game. They may have followed him from Magic the Gathering. He was a true reason why people were playing Snap as well. And, maybe not, obviously not the reason, they're playing for the content, but, his name being behind it, I think was one of the reasons why, the game became what it was. I just wanted to say a shout out and, of course, a thank you to him for all the work he put in and all the work he's done to keep the game going and making it what it was for us all over the past many years. And obviously, good luck to him in what comes next. So I wanted to just do that while I had a minute. And I think he had some things to do with the creator program as well, which, like I said, I'm always going to be grateful for the opportunity to be an official creator of Marvel Snap, which I've never done that before in my life. So it's an honor to be involved in that, and so yeah, never fun to say goodbye, right? And it's the same like that in life, no matter what it is. And but again, like I said, I never got a chance to personally meet him or anything like that. But he just, seemed like a very cool individual and good at his job, obviously. So, all right, guys. Well, I am at 86. Wow, I rose up 2 levels on ladder. And you know what's funny? And I'm sure you guys run into this too. When you're playing the limited time game mode, how many times have you guys thought you had queued up and you're playing the limited time game mode, and then you realize you queued up for regular ladder, and you're like, oh, damn it. And then it's like, but you're queued up with your limited time game mode deck. Well, I did that twice, right? Twice. And because sometimes you're just not paying attention. And I'll be honest, both times I won the game with my goofy high voltage deck. And it's like, okay, and it's what's so weird about this game? We make these decks, right? We get on ladder with them, and this is why I'm saying so much that there needs to be something different. There needs to be a different mode in this game, and this is why I say it, because I notice that when I'm relaxed when I play, like you play these limited time game modes, and you're like, But when I went into that and I realized I was on ladder, I'm like, well, I'm not just going to quit for the 1 cube. I could have, but I'm like, And then I'm confined to the fact that I'm just going to lose the 1 cube. And then I think if they snap me, I'm just out, right? Because I never planned to play with this deck to begin with. But then you end up kind of playing loose, right? Because you're like, you play with a different attitude. Because you're like, I screwed up. I brought the wrong deck anyway. And then you just end up playing loose, and maybe it's just because of the fact that you're playing looser because you figure you're going to lose. and then you end up winning. And so the deck is certainly not made for that for ladder. It's made for the limited time game mode. But as it worked out, I won both games. So that's why I moved. Mostly I was playing high voltage. And I will share with you the deck that I played for high voltage. Now, this is a Safety Blade Cook. Now, it had to be changed a little bit because they did outlaw Fin Fang Foom, who was in this deck. And they also outlawed Gambit, who was also in this deck. So I had to switch some cards in and out of here. But anyway, it's Chamber, Cobra, Caliban. Cobra is like the best card in this mode, by the way. It just is. It's going to blow up a card. And in many cases, somebody's going to play one of their charged cards that comes out, their random cards, that ends up being like a really high-powered card that you're just going to be able to blow up with Cobra. So he's like the MVP in this. Caliban's in here. Iska's in here. Nick Fury, which is a great card in this mode. Because many times you get him out very early, and he just gives you some really good high cards. Dragon Lord, because he could pull, of course, do what he does. Cosmic Ghost Rider, Legion, which is just nuts in this game mode. Blink, Eson, again, should be a staple of this game mode for any of the decks. Red Hulk and Galactus. So just cards that grow and just get bigger at the end of the game. So that was one, but I actually played that on ladder twice by complete mistake, and it ended up winning both games I played, which I thought was quite funny. Let me look at what else I played throughout the week. This was the Selene deck that I played, and I don't really remember whose deck this was. It could have been Dexter. I don't really recall. Could be Safety as well. But this is the Hood, Juggernaut, the new Juggernaut, of course, the Horseman Juggernaut. Merlin, Mirage, Gambit, the Horseman. Caliban, Selene, the Horseman, of course, and Sabanur. So a lot of the new cards are in this deck. White Tiger, Doctor Doom, and Ultron. So that's this is the deck I was playing that contained Selene in it. That was okay. Someone came up with a Wiccan Victoria Hand rock deck. This is Quicksilver, Sandstorm, Victoria Hand, Iron Patriot, Rhino, Mole Man, Ancient One, Debris, Negasonic, Wiccan, Cosmic Ghost Rider, and Ozymandias. I was playing some Sauron over the course of the week, and this is Sauron, Zero, Jennifer Kale, Surtur, Luna Snow, Starbrand, Ares, Typhoid Mary, Black Panther, Red Skull, Arnim Zola, and Scar. So it's like an old-style Sauron list, except you have Jennifer Kale in here, and you also have the combination possibility of Black Panther, Zola, or you could just do a Zola Scar, which could be very big at the end of the game if you don't have Black Panther out or something along those lines. So just a little bit of a different twist on a Sauron deck. This is Safety's rock list that he had out. This is Ant-Man, Squirrel Girl, Sandstorm, Herbie, Rhino, Captain Carter, Patriot, Killmonger, Kyera. So Killmonger, obviously, to oppose your opponent that's playing rocks. And Kyera, of course, to save your own. Debris, Moonstone, and Ozymandias. KM Best had a rock deck. This is Spider-Ham, Nightcrawler, Sandstorm, Iron Patriot, Scarlet Witch, Valentina, Rhino, Cosmo, Gambit, the Horseman of Death, Debris, Negasonic, and Ozymandias. There is a Thanos list that's floating around out there. This is King Eitri, Zombie Mr. Fantastic, Herbie, Red Guardian, Mobius, Drax, Iska, and Sabanur, The Thing, First Steps, Aurora, Mockingbird, and Thanos. So it's an Aurora list. And Iska, which I still think is the best card of the month. I still think that's the best card of the month so far. Although people have figured it out. They won't overload lanes because of the fact that you're just going to be able to, keep doubling her power if you do. Here's another rock list. This one has Black Swan. That allows you to just dump your whole hand at the end of the game. Sandstorm, Black Swan, Herbie, Rhino, Mystique, Patriot, Mole Man, Prodigy, Ancient One, Debris, Super Scroll, because everybody was playing with these rock decks and all of them had like Patriot and stuff in them, and Ozymandias. And that's about it, really. As far as new stuff goes, the rest of the decks I was playing are stuff from last week. All right, so let's look at my variants that I got for this week. Obviously, I have the I got an Annihilus variant. Not the, oh no, I think I told you guys about that last week. Yeah, I got that last week. I got the Ozymandias variant, of course. This one by Dardo Studios. So I have that. I got a Goose variant, the MAXX. We haven't seen a MAXX in a while. It's cool to see him having some new artwork out there. And it's, of course, the MAXX Goose, which is always cool. Love MAXX's art. My boy, the Man-Thing variant, Nikola Sismezia variant of this, which I love. Top-down view. Of my boy there. You can see all the little, like, the mushrooms on him and the slime and all that kind of stuff in all his glory. And, of course, I have... You know, I am not complete with him. I don't think well, of course, yeah, I'm not, because I'm at level 26 with him. So I'm pretty close. To getting the Man-Thing avatars, which I want to get, but unless they come out with some, and I don't play him enough, because I don't play a lot of Toxic. I don't play him enough to get a whole bunch of whatchamacall for him, boosters, and there's just not enough out there to get to get new stuff with him. So, but it was cool to see a new variant, and hopefully we get some more now. Deadpool, Pandart Deadpool, I ended up getting. I have so many Deadpool variants. The Arnim Zola 3099, which people have had for a long time. I'm starting to get a lot of these variants that people have had forever, which I just never owned. Got that. The new Killmonger, the Kim Jacinto, another guy who we haven't heard from with artwork for a while. But this is really, really cool. I love it in the 3D. It looks awesome. He's coming like right at you. The Spectrum Pandart Studio variant, that of course is from the limited time game mode. I pulled that out of the whatever that's called, that you have the 3 possibility cards that you get. I still want to try to get the Cobra, because I do not have a Cobra variant. Moira X, the anime cyberpunk variant of Moira X. I got that. And then I pulled, I was pulling some of these from that new pack that's out there that you can get some of the cards in, and I pulled this one out of there. They're all destroy cards, which really didn't interest me, but I had my eye on one of them that I finally did get. I got the Peach Momoko Nightmare variant of Venom, and then the Death. The Death is amazing. I just got her yesterday, so I'm done with it. But when you split this and her throne comes out in 3D, oh my God, just stellar. And of course, I have awesome splits on her from the time I was playing her so much with Galactus, and this just I have it with the black, like the border that has like looks like the white stars in it. But then of course I have white crackle. That's coming. Oh man, it just looks. This variant is absolutely awesome. Who did this? The Taekwon Kim is the artist, and gold finish with white crackle flare, and of course the black cosmic border is what I have on it. She looks incredible, and this is an amazing Death with the throne and everything like that. I absolutely love it. I think the artwork is tremendous. So yeah, and I even have an awesome split with my Man-Thing. I was going to point this out yesterday. This is, to me, this is like the perfect Man-Thing split. Because, and I'm not saying because of because it's not green crackle or anything like that, but for the lore of the card. it has the let's see here. I have the border that is, it looks like it's a cosmic border, but it looks like the Man-Thing is the newer versions of Man-Thing. He's the guardian of the nexus of all realities. So I have the Galactic Storm border, the green fire as well, because of course, he who knows fear burns at the Man-Thing's touch. So I have the green fire and the Galactic Storm because of the nexus. And then I have the card itself. I was able to get the split where it's the fire behind him. So now I have the red fire, which again signifies Man-Thing. I have that border, which makes it looks like the Nexus Guardian Man-Thing. I just think that this is like the perfect thing that you could see in a card. It has all the elements to the character inside of the card, and I just thought that was awesome. So, alrighty. Let's take a look at the shop. We've got the Vibranium offers are there. We have the, this has to be, I mean, it's Ant-Man and Wasp, right, in the card. In Hyuk Lee variant. But it's $10 for a card that hardly anybody ever plays. You get 1,500 credits. I mean, the artwork is awesome, right? It's cool to see them both in the card at the same time. But I don't know when you would get this, because the only time Wasp gets play is in High Evo Negative, and even not much then. But it is an amazing card. And it's not bad for a bundle, right? $10 isn't bad compared to all these other ones that are $99, $75, way up there in price. But again, Wasp is just a card where very hard to find justification of purchasing it, because you're really never going to play it probably. So my collection level passed 51,000 now. I'm at 51,000 CL. The Destroy Pack is the one I mentioned earlier, and I have all of them in there now except for Headpool and Atuma. So I did buy a bunch of them, the variants, and I don't know that I have many. I don't know. The Atuma variant's kind of cool. It's Vincenzo Riccardi, who does an amazing job with paint, and he looks awesome. I don't have a good Atuma, but Headpool, I never, ever play many of these cards. I just don't play. So there is a Hydra Stomper in my Spotlight variant, and the Ultimate Nova, which I guess are kind of cool. Alrighty. So that is pretty much my week in the game. And yeah. Still looking for that damn Annihilus. It didn't work, by the way, shutting off the bundle. Remember I told you guys a couple weeks ago I thought I would try that to shut off the bundle. But it did not work whatsoever. So that was not the case. And I know a couple of people have said, well, maybe if you actually play with the card, that does it. That might do it too. But that doesn't work, because if that were the case, I think I would see a lot of other things that I do play a lot with in the shop, and I don't get any of that either. So So yeah, so unfortunately, I just am confined to the fact that I'm never going to get that Galactus, because I'm never going to get the Annihilus that I need to get it with. So, all right, well, we're going to move on here, and we are going to go to Comics Corner, where we are going to discuss Ozymandias and Selene, Horsewoman of Death, or Horsewoman of whatever she is. So let's go over there. And we'll talk about Ozymandias first. Bum-ba-dum-bum, bum-ba-dum. Alrighty. Ozymandias. Of course, he's from Earth 616. His quote, "My name is Ozymandias. For centuries I served Apocalypse. His life at long last is over. The world owes Scott Summers and his family an unimaginable debt. But what price will he pay? Can one come so close to darkness and remain pure?" So that's his quote. Ozymandias. His nickname is Ozzy. And impersonations, he does an impersonation of Apocalypse. That's kind of cool. Affiliated with the clan Akaba, former servant to Apocalypse. His parents' unnamed mother is deceased, and Amenhotep is his father. Siblings, Nefri, sister, is deceased. He was never married. He is male, of course, altered into a completely granite form. His origin, he was a human mutate, altered by Ensabanur. His living status is alive. He is on Earth 616, and place of birth is Egypt. No dual identity. He is Egyptian. Servant of Apocalypse. Sculptor. Artist. Former warlord and servant of Ramatut, who we are getting this week, by the way. And a king. Creators were Scott Lobdell and Joe Madureira. And his first appearance was Uncanny X-Men number 332 in March of 1996. Let's read a little bit about him. Was a son of ancient Egypt's pharaoh Amenhotep. His father was deposed. You may know Amenhotep from the Mummy films. His father was deposed by the mysterious Ramatut, while Ozymandias was forced to serve him as his general. Ozymandias had always wanted to take the throne that he believed to be rightfully his, but he had no way to defeat Ramatut. Decades later, Ramatut had sent him to the camp of sandstormers to capture a man named Ensabanur. Ramatut, being actually a time traveler from the 30th century, knew what one day Nur would become a powerful mutant Apocalypse, so he wanted to make him his heir and control his future. Ozymandias has slaughtered the Sandstormers but failed to capture Nur. Later on, Nur came to the capital anyway and opposed Ramatut. In the ensuing battle, Ozymandias used the opportunity to enter the Sphinx, which was actually Ramatut's time-traveling ship. I always wanted to see, I was infatuated with Egyptian stuff when I was a kid. I would love to see Egypt, but with everything that goes on over there now, there is no way I would. It's not a very good country to go to, especially with the things that are happening in the Middle East and everything like that. And unfortunately, it's a place where they don't really, I'm sure it's not the entire country, but that not really fond of necessarily people from this side of the world. So, but I would have loved to have seen the pyramids and I think I got into that because of Indiana Jones. When I first saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, that stuff just like, I obviously loved those films. And a lot of times there's people who have dreams of being an archaeologist and digging up dinosaur bones and all that kind of stuff. But man, when you see all that stuff and I can remember playing the old Indiana Jones board game that came out, and you had to complete the quest, you had to find the Staff of Ra, and everything to get the Ark. And I can remember, you're going around places in Egypt and thinking, it was, I would love to see it. I would love to see it, but I doubt I ever will. So the Sphinx obviously would be amazing to see also. which was actually Ramatut's time-traveling ship. Ozymandias wanted to obtain the knowledge and weapons inside, but was intercepted by Insabanur, who now fully awakens his mutant powers. Nur hated Ozymandias for killing his family, so he used his powers to transform Ozymandias' body into living stone, and then also used the Eye of Ages to show him all history of humanity in a matter of a second. All of it broke Ozymandias' mind. He became Apocalypse's slave and dutifully served him for thousands of years, too afraid to ever oppose him again. He depicted the visions he saw in the Eye of Ages as sculptures, providing information about the future to Apocalypse. Final Horsemans. In 281, Ozymandias followed Apocalypse to Rome, where they recruited young mutant Decimus Furius. In 325, then they visited Persia to recruit Sanjar Javid. In 1833, they recruited Ishmi, and in 1863, Jebli. All four were placed into stasis right after recruitment to serve as Apocalypse's final horsemen. 19th century was present when the clan Akaba resurrected Apocalypse to battle Dracula and his vampire horde. It was shown that he had been influencing members of the clan for his own ends for centuries. Then, of course, in present day, during her youth, Aurora Monroe, who would become X-Men member Storm in adulthood, was hired to steal Ozymandias' magical gemstone, the Opal of Ozymandias. When he recognized Aurora from his visions, he let her go with the Opal, knowing that Storm would eventually be instrumental in Apocalypse's plans for the powerful mutants known as the 12. Just some other storylines he was in. Decimation, the Apocalypse Solution, and then, of course, his powers. Rock form, his body was irreversibly transformed into one made of stone. Immortality, he became seemingly immortal, as he already lived for 5,000 years from ancient Egypt to present day. He can regenerate. While his body could be damaged and even shattered, it would automatically reform itself with time. Matter animation could animate the statues he sculpted, turning them into semi-living beings capable of independently attacking his enemies. Flight. He could fly, most likely by controlling the rock substance in his body to lift into the air. Also had precognition. Exposed to the Eye of Ages, his mind was flooded with the future records of human history from the 30th century. As a penance for crimes against him, Apocalypse forced him to depict the information he had witnessed as sculptures. Abilities, of course, sculpting. Paraphernalia, a hammer and chisel, which I suppose would make sense. So that is Ozymandias. And you can see there, Uncanny X-Men number 332. Okay, so we will go to Selene. Now, again, like the others, there probably will be more about her character as a whole than there will be about the Horseman side of her, but we will check it out regardless. Selene Gallio from Earth 616. She does have a quote: "Through all the centuries, I've never had anyone track me when I didn't want them to. Unfortunately, you won't be alive long enough to share what you've learned." Now, that, of course, is regular Selene. That's her married name. Current alias is Black Priestess. Affiliation and relationships. She was with the Externals. Her parents, she has an unnamed mother who's deceased. She is married to Marcus Domitius Gallio, who is now deceased. She is widowed. Created by Chris Claremont and Sal Buscema. New Mutants number 9 in 1983. She's female, of course, 5'10", 130 pounds, blue eyes, red when using her powers, and black hair. She's a mutant external magician. Place of birth was Transylvania. Same place as Dracula. Okay. Place of death, So she has died in the comics. Black Rome in Genosha, London, England. And Abor Magna Krakoa, Pacific Ocean. Cause of death. She was stabbed with a mystic knife by Warpath. Resurrected by the Enchantress. Killed by Hope Summers. Resurrected by the Five. Neck snapped by Exodus. Freed from realm of death by Mother Righteous. Her identity is secret. She's a sorceress, an adventurer, former self-styled goddess, and a Catholic nun. Self-taught, education. She's from Nova Roma, Brazil. Formerly of Krakoa, Black Rome, Hellfire Club Mansion, Manhattan, New York City, New York. Roman Republic in Italy. And New Mutants number 9 was her first appearance in 1983. So let me see if they have a... There's a lot on her, but let me see if they have the Apocalypse stuff. Because that's really what we're talking about here. Necrotia. X-Force, Power Elite, House of X, Quiet Council, Fall of X. Yeah, not seeing anything. So just the powers of mortality, sorcery. This is just all our regular powers, but I'm not seeing... Let me try looking it up a different way. I'm not seeing anything mentioned about her as the Horseman. Let's see if I could find this. And to see if there's any information about it. If not, then be a lot shorter. Selene Gallio is an ancient Marvel mutant, specifically an external, believed to be over 17,000 years old. Born in Central Europe around 15,000 BC or earlier, after the sinking of Atlantis, she maintains her youthful appearance and immortality by feeding on the life force of others as a psychic vampire. But again, no Horseman stuff. All the Horseman stuff, ironically, when you look her up, is about Marvel Snap. Well, yeah, like this is just... Yeah, this is just Snap stuff. Huh. It's kind of weird. All right, well, look, I'm not going to waste your time looking for it. So, yeah, so there's that. All right, well, listen, we'll go over to Comics Corner. The Marvel Unlimited app, rather. We'll talk about books and all that good stuff. And let's see if we can, let's see if we have any references to either one of the characters in here. This is kind of a weird... Yeah, I mean, you could follow Ozymandias in here, and you'll see the books that it. So, Uncanny X-Force, Search for Cyclops, Cable from 1993, Wolverine from 1988, X-Force from 1991. So, yeah, as you would imagine, all X-Men books that he has made appearances in. So there is that. And we could look up Selene, but I'm not sure it's going to find what we want here except for the Age of Apocalypse books, which has been the case of a lot of this. They do have her listed, and they have details on her, but of course this is just ancient mutant energy vampire. Selene feeds off others to empower herself. She is allied with the Hellfire Club, the Power Elite, and even her inner circle, briefly becoming a goddess. So again, New Mutants, X-Men, Marvel Vampires Handbook, Magma, Black Queen, of course that's Gideon, Wither, Ex-Necrotia, Uncanny X-Men, a couple issues of Cable. So yeah, nothing really mentioned about the Horseman part of it. So we'll move on. Okay, let's look at this week's books, shall we? New this week. The exclusive Marvel Mutts Infinity Comic is up to issue number 21. Exclusive Marvel Rivals Infinity Comic is up to issue number 26. Kingpin is in that. Of course, he's in the game now. Amazing Spider-Man Torn, which I'm loving. This is so good. This is Peter when he's in college. And this has been a very, very good, I'm enjoying this more than the regular Spider-Man title right now, and it's up to number 3. Alien versus Captain America. So they're still doing the whole Alien Predator stuff. This is issue number 2. Rogue Storm is up to issue number 3. Radioactive Spider-Man, another one, is up to issue number 3. Planet She-Hulk is at issue number 2. Star Wars Jedi Knights, about the exploits of young Obi-Wan Kenobi and Mace Windu, of course, and stuff like that, is up to issue number 10. The Last Wolverine is up to issue number 3. Avengers is up to issue number 33. Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu is up to issue number 15. Black Cat, her own self-title, is up to issue number 5. Battle World is up to issue number 4. Omega Kids is up to issue number 3. The Mortal Thor is up to issue number 5. Black Panther Intergalactic is a new book starting at issue number 1. Marvel Rivals Ignite in Color, issue number 1. So a new Rivals comic. Then we have Civil War facsimile edition of Civil War number 5. So it's an old reprint. Daredevil and Punisher, The Devil's Trigger, is up to issue number 2. X-Men Book of Revelation up to issue number 3. And Strange Tales is up to issue number 3. So that is the new stuff. And what I've been reading, of course, Ultimate Spider-Man is going to be done very, very soon. There's only one issue left that I have not read yet. Spider-Man 94, which, of course, is the animated series. Spider-Man Noir. The new Captain America series. The Punisher. Marvel Knights Punisher. Just kind of some of the stuff that I've been reading. Nothing new out with a lot of these, though, this particular week. So yeah, again, I always say, visit your local comic book store. If you've got one, that's very, very cool experience and just downright fun to do. But if you don't have one near you, go check out like a Barnes & Noble. You'll see a large selection of comics there and graphic novels that you can purchase and just buy like a whole or read a whole series at once. And then, of course, if not, you can get the Marvel app like I do. It's $9.99 a month, and it gets you access to all of the Marvel library. So if you want to check out a lot of these where they come from type things and find out more about the characters and you got interested in because of the game, do check out the app. All right. I'm going to talk a little bit about Sam Keith. Because, of course, passing away and obviously gone much too young. Of course, this article is from the New York Times, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to read because they make you subscribe to it. Never mind. Samuel Coleman Keith. He was born in 1963, so he's literally 6 years older than I am. So he would have been 62. Writer, penciler, artist, inker. Notable works are The MAXX and Zero Girl. He won an Inkpot Award in 2013. Was an American comic artist and writer, best known as the creator of The MAXX and Zero Girl and co-creator of The Sandman, which so many people love. He was born in Sacramento, California. He died of complications from Lewy body dementia, which, look, dementia is horrible. Horrible. And so many more people are dealing with it and you know, passing away from it and stuff like that. And I where I used to work in Best Buy, I knew a guy who I spoke to quite often, a little bit older, kind of like my age. And he and I used to have conversations, and, you know, he many times had told me, I think someone in his family, might have been his father, had dementia. And so, you know, he's very nervous about the fact that it runs in his family, and very nervous about having to deal with that later in life. And just recently, my aunt, so my mom's sister, was diagnosed with it. And, you know, now my mom is 81, and she's starting to have some repeating of things that she says, and kind of just maybe forget some things that she says and stuff like that. Now, that could be her age, right? But, you know, we're not sure. And now that I'm aware that it runs in the family, now I seem to take after my grandfather. Now, my grandfather was very, very sharp up until the day he passed away. Now, he died from cancer. So he never really had it. So it could fall on my grandmother's side of it. Now, my grandmother also died quite young. She had I think she died from a blood clot, if I remember right. But this stuff is just horrible and very, very scary. When you know that this runs in your family, it's scary to think, you know, we all want to live as long as we can, but I would never want to live with dementia. That just, you know, knowing people who have family members who have it and stuff like that, and I've, you know, just recently when my wife was in the hospital, she had a roommate that had it. And I'm like, oh my God, like just hearing her talking to herself and seeing things probably in her mind, and just, you know, then she would have screaming fits and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my God, like that has got to be the worst thing. Like, look, I get it. There's so many bad things in this world, right? Cancer, obviously, you know, it kills so many people and stuff. But you know what? Given a choice, I would take the cancer sentence over dementia in a heartbeat. Because, you know, losing your mind and then having to live like that, just I can't even imagine. And so this Lewy body syndrome is absolutely horrible, and the fact that he dealt with it, it's just very sad. Keith's first published work was a story in the back of a Comico comic when he was about 17. It was about a killer rabbit named Max the Hare. He came to prominence in 1984 as an inker of Matt Wagner's Mage, and a year later as inker of Fish Police. In 1989, he penciled the first 5 issues, the Preludes and Nocturne story arc, of writer Neil Gaiman's celebrated series The Sandman, and collaborated with Alan Grant on a Penguin story in Secret Origin Special number 1 in 1989. He illustrated 2 volumes of writer William Messner Loeb's Epicurus the Sage, and drew an Aliens miniseries for Dark Horse Comics, and drew The Incredible Hulk, volume number 2, 368, which led to drawing numerous covers for Marvel Comics Presents. In 1983, Keith left Marvel to create the original series, The MAXX, for fledgling publisher Image Comics. The MAXX ran 35 issues, all of which were plotted and illustrated by Keith. William Messner Loeb's scripted 1-15, and Alan Moore wrote number 21 in 1995. The MAXX was adapted as part of MTV's short-lived animation series MTV Oddities. After taking a break from comics to pursue other interests, Keith came back with the one-shot Legs for Image Comics, then created the series Zero Girl for DC Comics Wildstorm imprint in 2001. He followed that with the drama Four Women later that year, a Hulk Wolverine miniseries for Marvel in 2002, and Zero Girl Full Circle in 2003. In August 2004, he launched the Scratch series featuring a teenage werewolf. Keith then wrote and drew the 5-issue series Batman Secrets, featuring the Joker, and Batman Lobo, Deadly Serious, a 2-issue miniseries starting in August 2007. This was followed by 2009's Lobo Highway to Hell, written by Scott Ian of the band Anthrax, and the painted story Ghosts, which appeared in Batman Confidential 40-43 in 2010. Keith wrote and illustrated the original hardcover graphic novel Arkham Asylum Madness, which spent 2 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, reaching number 5 in the category of hardcover graphic books. Ojo comprises the first, and My Inner Bimbo the second, in a cycle of original limited series or graphic novels published by Oni Press, which he dubbed the Troudiverse. The cycle concerned the intertwined lives of Annie, Ojo, Lo, My Inner Bimbo, Dana, Nola, Otto, and others connected by an encounter with an urban legend known as the Magic Trout. In the UK, he has contributed to 2000 AD's Judge Dredd and provided several covers for the Nemesis the Warlock reprint title in 2011. Keith began drawing IDW, publishing 30 Days of Night series. Oh my God, I love that series. IDW released a 48-page The Sam Keith Sketchbooks Volume 1, followed by a second volume in August 2010. In addition to co-producing the MAXX animated series for MTV, Keith co-wrote No Smoking, the pilot to Cow and Chicken, created by his cousin David Feiss. He created the film Take It to the Limit in 2000 for Roger Corman's Concord New Horizons. Keith received an Inkpot Award at San Diego Comic-Con in 2013. So he did a lot of work for DC, Comic, of course, Dark Horse, Piranha, Wildstorm, Eclipse, Image Comics, Marvel Comics. So he has been everywhere and has done a lot over the years. And he did another book with the MAXX, which was the MAXX and Batman, which was pretty cool crossover that you would never have expected to come to pass. It's called Batman the MAXX Arkham Dreams, and that was from 2018 to 2020. I can't say that, there are many artists, comic book artists, that I had that I've loved throughout my life. James O'Barr being one of them, which I already talked about him a little bit because of The Crow. The MAXX book really resonated with me for a lot of different reasons. I immediately picked up on it. It was one of the books that I started from number 1, and it had a glow-in-the-dark issue, the first number 1, as many of the 90s comics, it kind of did, right? They all were, and this was one that I saw in my friend's comic book store and picked it up and could not miss I never missed an issue. And it's just so well done. And like I said, a lot of this is about It can be said that it's about mental health. It can be said that it's about, there's so many things to this. It's even hard for me to describe to you. I can read the plot summary here, but it doesn't do it justice. Mr. Gone, who's the main villain in it, a serial rapist with a telepathic link to Julie, who Julie is primarily the main character, has extensive knowledge of and access to other people's outbacks. And this is the thing, right? Your outback could be anything. Everyone's outback is different. The MAXX character has his own outback. Julie is his jungle queen of his outback. He lives in this other parallel universe in his mind, and it just blows my mind because he has this tribal version of him where he sees himself to be a superhero. But in reality, he's a homeless man. And when he's dressed in the costume, and if you've ever seen the MAXX, he wears a purple, like an all purple and yellow outfit. He has humongous feet, which Sam Keith was known for drawing. He draws big feet. Whenever he draws characters like Batman, his feet are huge. And I'm smiling because it just brings me joy to just talk about this. And but when Julie in real life, who was just a mess of a woman, she takes the MAXX in to her house, and she sees him, in the alley, and he's living on the street because he's homeless, and sometimes she's a social worker, so she, that's, I guess, how they meet each other, and then, like I said, she lets him sleep on her couch and stuff like that, and then he goes outside during the day, but when you see him in real life, the teeth that are on his mask when he's in the outback is a lampshade. He literally wears a lampshade, a purple lampshade that you could see where he gets the costume of the MAXX from, and he sees himself as this superhero, and it's just, oh my God, I can't even describe it to. All I could say is read it, because it is such a good book and such a wonderful series. And I don't want to give it away because reading it through, they all have such trauma. Like Julie was raped. While she was in college, she picks up a hitchhiker who beats and rapes her, leaving her to die. So obviously, there's the tremendous amount of trauma that she's gone through. To cope, she hides in what's referred to as her outback. So basically, your outback is like your mind, and she's hiding in this state, which is a primeval landscape situated entirely in her subconscious, where she has control. In the outback, she becomes the jungle queen, an all-powerful goddess. She spends so much time dwelling in her outback that the real world and the outback gradually become unstable. One night, she accidentally hits a homeless man with her car. Remembering what happened the last time she stopped to help someone, she covers the unconscious body with trash, but in doing so, unintentionally creates a link between it and the outback. After Julie leaves a lampshade in the trash, which had previously brushed the outback, it expands over the man's body and becomes a mask that consumes and links him to Julie, transforming him into the MAXX. That's all I'm going to go through, because, again, this is about, one of the biggest things in this is about spirit animals. So Julie's spirit animal is a rabbit, which she gained after rescuing a dying rabbit as a child. Her mom bought her a pet rabbit. She finds a rabbit out in the wild, and she brought the rabbit home because she felt bad for it. But the rabbit had a crushed leg and stuff like that. And her mother because her mother couldn't stand the rabbit, was constantly crying because it had this damaged leg, and the mother goes and beats the rabbit to death and kills the rabbit because she couldn't stand it and putting it out of its misery, basically. So mercy killing, because the poor thing, there was nothing she could do with it. So the mother kills the rabbit. And then there's also a friend of hers that the name of Sarah that you'll meet in the book, whose spirit animal is a horse. But I would just tell you, just find it. You can get it in graphic novel form, but find it and read it. It was one of the best things I have ever read in my life. And it's just so good. I can't do it justice just by reading about it, because you have to read it. And to me, it meant so much to me reading this book. I was very sad when it ended. But it, he always had a beginning, a middle, and an end of the story. And, sometimes you want things to go on forever, but they're not meant to. But the fact that Sam Keith brought this to life, I'm so grateful to him for bringing it to me. And it's just wonderful, and just an amazing read. And I'm very saddened that Sam died in that way, and had to deal with what he did. And it was very sad for me to hear that he passed. And so may he rest in peace. And I'm sure, he probably had family and stuff like that, that are, I think I read that. Let me just see here quick. Again, I want to go back to it. Someone did a tribute here. This is from Benson.Inc. on Instagram. After hearing Sam Keith's passed away, it got me looking through a lot of his old work again and remembering the iconic covers, characters, and works of his I remember seeing growing up in the 90s. The MAXX is certainly a standout. I remember first being introduced to his character through the animated series on late night MTV. The MAXX is still one of the most enjoyable characters to draw, because the proportions are fun to play with and there is so much room for creative freedom. Sam Keith was an incredible artist, and it's been fun seeing so many take the time to honor his work. When someone writes a great book, it will survive them. And I certainly hope that when people heard about this, that Sam passed away. Now this is from comic book, from CBR. 15 Sam Keith comics every Sandman fan should read. And of course he did Sandman. Eleanor and the Egret was one of Sam Keith's final works. Wolverine Hulk was an unusual pairing of two major Marvel heroes. Batman Ghost saw Batman meet a woman unlike any he'd ever met before. Epicurus the Sage was a hilarious parody of ancient Greece. My Inner Bimbo is the flip side of Keith's Ojo. Incredible Hulk number 368 established Keith's place at Marvel. Friends of MAXX explores the odd universe of the MAXX. Just another a side comic. Four Women tells a heartbreaking tale of trauma and denial. Zero Girl presents a relatable misfit heroine. Batman's Secrets allowed Keith to explore Batman and the Joker. Ojo is a complex dual narrative. Arkham Asylum Madness offers a tour of a DC nightmare. Keith drew blood with 30 Days of Night again, and Volume 2. The MAXX is Sam Keith's masterpiece. Of course, that's number 2. And then number 1, Sandman 1 through 5, The Genesis of a Legend. So please go check it out. If you haven't done so, and again, like I said, I can't tributize a man anymore than by saying what he meant to me. And rest in peace, Sam, and your work and everything you've done will outlive you, but you will be missed. And I had someone draw me a MAXX that I have on my wall. Because, I even have an action figure of the MAXX that Todd McFarlane or McFarlane Toys came out with years ago. So the character certainly has been a big part of my life growing up, and it was just an amazing book. So, all right, gonna get over to the MCU minute and go quickly over some stuff. Daredevil was very good. Very good first episode. Had an awesome ending. And it looks like we're in for a heck of a ride. Now, we've got 2 episodes coming up this coming week. So I'm sure all of you that are Marvel fans are checking it out. But I really enjoyed the first episode, and I think it's going to be good. I think this is going to have a lead into Spider-Man. And I know people denied it. No, Daredevil is not going to be in Spider-Man. No, they're not going to cross over. We shall see. But I have a funny feeling it may very well. Spider-Man Brand New Day news. The cat's out of the bag. Sadie Sink is playing Jean Grey, which is awesome. I am so thrilled by that, but it has been let out of the bag. It is official now. And those of you that thought otherwise, I'm sorry to disappoint, but she is indeed playing Jean Grey, and I think she's going to be awesome in that. And I think that's the first step in the new X-Men and how they're going to do it. And casting her, I think is very cool. So. And then, of course, Project Hail Mary. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but go see it. It is such a wonderful film. And yes, it's sci-fi, but it's more science than fiction, I think. There's much more to it in the science realm than there is the fictitious part of it. Obviously, there's an alien in it named Rocky, who is the cutest thing that I've seen forever. My wife went with me. My wife is not a big science fiction fan whatsoever. My wife cried during the film. I welled up during the film. It is tremendous. The book is amazing. There may be an extended cut of this that may come out at some point, because when they first filmed it, I think they said they had over 3.5 to 4 hours of content, which of course the movie ended up being 2.5. So they might end up making a director's cut or something, which I would love to see, because there are scenes from the book that I kind of missed in the film, which many times happens. But it was tremendous. Go out and see it if you haven't done so. It is really, really, really good. And then, of course, Pixel Perspective, very quickly here, because let's see where we're at in time. We were just almost at about 2 hours. So, but Pixel Perspective, the biggest thing I could talk about this week is the Halloween game. They showed gameplay. There's people who have gameplay. You can watch it on YouTube. There was a panel that had John Carpenter along with the game designers and stuff like that. They took some questions and stuff at PAX. I'm sure there's a lot more spotlighted at PAX East, which I can probably go over here. But for me, I got to see Michael Myers in a video game for the first time since he was in a really, really poor adaptation that was made for the original Nintendo. Which you can imagine what that may have looked like. But yeah, man, I'm going to be able to play Michael Myers and play against Michael Myers in a game. And the game looks incredible. Michael has a thing called a, I forget the name of it now, a jump. It's like a shift that he can do, where he can ends up enabling jump scares, because he can, unlike Friday the 13th, there wasn't really that ability. Jason had a stalk where you can kind of stand in a place and kind of scare somebody, but Michael's thing is going to bring jump scares to the game, and you're going to be able to play as hero characters that are just trying to get the NPCs to safety and get them out of Michael's way. The Myers house, of course, is there. It takes place in the 70s, and the game designer said they have so much in mind, which you can do with this game. You could do all the sequels and stuff like it. Plus, there's going to be a portion of the game where you're going to be able to just play as Michael in a story mode, which they didn't even go into. So that's probably not even out there yet. But I am so excited about this, and cannot wait to play this when it comes out in September. And again, it'll be my foray into game streaming for the very first time. So I'm really looking forward to that. So for those of you that enjoy my podcast with Snap, I hope that you will give me some follows over on Twitch and game streaming. I do have a Snap Decisions Twitch already made up. So I will be playing Halloween on that channel. So if you're into horror or just into game streaming and stuff, I'll probably be doing it late night. So it'll be kind of late night game streaming. But go and check out my Twitch. And in September, I will be definitely streaming this game. So, all right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for this episode of Snap Decisions. I am a member of the Snap Judgments League of Podcasts, which includes such shows as Snap on This, out every single Friday with Lauren Whatevs as your host, and of course Benjamin Roller and It's Just Re, both there as well. They do a tremendous job on the pod. They go over all of the cards, all of the Snap stuff and the goings on, but also do some non-Snap stuff with Secret Homework. They talk about other video games and stuff as well, and all that stuff. And a very fun pod. They're on YouTube. They're on the audio formats also, so please go and check them out. And then, of course, Snap Judgment Glazer's pod as well. Glazer has streaming that he's been doing. I think he's been doing some Slay the Spire on his channel, Slay the Spire 2, rather. All different games that he's involved with also. So make sure you go check him out. Give him a sub. Check out his channel on Twitch. Check out his channel on YouTube. And, of course, check out the podcast where he invites other creators on with him. And they talk about Marvel Snap. So that is going to do it for this episode for this week. Again, don't forget, I'll be putting out the 6 cost cards that we can vote on the worst 6 card. And then we'll be done with the worst, and next week we'll go on to the best. Obviously, my next episode next week is the last episode of this particular month, so we'll be talking about the new card, Ramatut, and we'll also be talking about the worst 6 card, and we'll figure out which one that will be, and then we'll go over my week in Snap in the game and all that, and also I will be having my card rankings for the new season. So we'll do that next week as well for the next season coming up. And I'm sure in the meantime, we'll probably get a patch and all that kind of good stuff too about the following season and more data mines and things like that we can discuss. So that's it for me, guys. I hope you all had a great week in the game. However you choose to play it, I hope you're enjoying it. And yeah. So as I always say, please stay safe, be kind to one another always, and hopefully I will talk to you all on the next episode of Snap Decisions. Thanks for listening wherever you may listen, whether that be on my YouTube channel, whether it be on the audio portion, however it is. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for subbing. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the comments. It's always appreciated, as I appreciate all of you. So have a great week, guys. And hopefully I'll talk to you on the next one. This is your Snap DJ, signing off.